Welcome to Make Robots Not War. My name is Jacob Santian with
Annika O'Brien.
Well, it's Annika's birthday today. Happy birthday.
It's my annual 24th birthday. I share a birthday with Ann Coulter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
well, happy birthday to Ann Coulter as well. So
I'm not like a big fan of hers. You find that out anytime you have a birthday, they give you a list.
Yeah, of also, celebrities or historical figures you might share a birthday with.
I also share a birthday with Jim Morrison. So
okay.
He's probably a more likable figure for many people.
Right. So from your words, what are we doing today?
I am taking a political compass test, and it is from politicalcompass.org/test. And we are using that one because Jacob picked. I have not been historically a political person, even through college and like even before high school, even through like my early 20s. Well, I mean, I'm only 24, so it's not a lot of years. But anyway, I've just generally not been much of a political person. I've always been more of a futurist and a scientist. I've had politics thrust on me over the last 3 to 5 years, I would say. And so we're choosing this test because Jacob, and it is kind of. Wait, do you want to?
Yeah, it's the political compass test that I see probably more often than others, and it's actually been online or it's been on the internet since about 2001.
Okay,
and
that's as old as I am.
Typically, a lot of people conceive of politics in the sense of left versus right.
Yes,
this one goes a step further.
It's the Punnett square for you scientists out there.
Yeah, and for those who cannot see it, the left to right axis is pretty much what you'd expect. I mean, left and right, but it adds the vertical axis from top to bottom. It goes from
3-dimensional.
Well, 2-dimensional.
2-dimensional.
Yeah. And that the top to bottom axis is the
3-dimensional.
I don't know.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Thinking in VR.
Yeah. But yeah, the top to bottom is authoritarian versus libertarian. So what Annika is going to do today, actually, I'll throw it up for those who...
So what inspired me is the comments on my YouTube videos. I know if you're listening to this on iTunes, you probably don't care as much, but on YouTube, I get a lot of comments, people asking, or just assuming that I'm either on the left or the right, depending on what the topic that we're discussing is. I have generally considered myself more of a liberal. I think that's because I've chosen to live in large cities, which are more liberal. Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Orange County were always very liberal. Even Dallas, New York, 2 major cities that I lived in. My alma mater is in Dallas. And now I live in Houston, which is an extremely liberal city. And I live like a stone's throw from downtown, which is extremely liberal. If you go out to the suburbs, maybe they're a little more, what'd you say? They're maybe a little less liberal?
The suburbs, I mean, that's all what I've always understood.
They're still liberal, but not as much.
They tend to lean more conservative in the suburbs.
But that's anywhere you go.
Yeah, and of course we know about rural areas.
Rural areas are far more conservative. Anyway, so my point is that I have been using the term classical libtard for the last few years because I think, first off, I think it's fucking hilarious. This last 2016, I voted for Zoltan Istvan because I live in an extremely liberal city that voted for Clinton in a state that voted for Trump. So I knew that my vote didn't matter no matter what. So I pulled the lever for somebody nobody had ever heard of that had an amazing name just so I could say Zoltan Istvan. That was really the only reason I voted for him. And I wanted one more vote for somebody that I like. So
okay, yeah.
I like him as a person. And he's a transhumanist.
Yeah.
So it's for science.
Yeah. So let's get into the first question in your political Voight-Kampff test.
Okay.
Let's see. just a few. It begins with just a few propositions to start with concerning no less how you see the country and the world. So the first question is: if economic globalization is inevitable, it should primarily serve humanity rather than the interests of transnational corporations. Do you strongly disagree, agree, or strongly agree? And just a quick note, so I don't have to keep repeating those.
Yes,
that goes for each one of them. So
yes,
Annika's just going to say which one that
there's no like in between, which another one of these tests that I looked at had like a I don't really care either way. So that's going to make this test not as ideal for me, because some of these questions I'm sure I'm going to say I don't really care either way. Okay, so because it says is inevitable, I kind of like that because that kind of gives me a little more wiggle room. Okay, so globalization, not a big fan of. Serve humanity, which I also can see that as as the individual, rather than transnational corporations. I'm going to say, because this isn't saying by force, because I don't like by force.
Sure.
I'm going to say strongly agree. If this would have said by force, then I would have to disagree. But
Okay.
I'm going to say strongly agree on this one. I think that it should, by humanity, I'm going to assume that they mean the individual.
Okay.
Humans, not corporations.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, strongly agree.
All right. Next one. I'd always support my country whether it was right or wrong.
Strongly disagree.
Okay.
That's not to, now I love America, but I've also not always lived in America. And if I was born in Saudi Arabia or any other country, I would strongly disagree with this. So just to clarify, and I won't have to clarify all of these. I would hope that anybody who's gotten to know me over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, just let me answer however you're
cool.
comfortable with. Number 3, no one chooses his or her country of birth, so it's foolish to be proud of it.
Disagree. I think that you should, only because country, I don't think it's foolish to be proud of your country, because there's a lot of other things that go into your country. There's the people who created that country. I think it's foolish to be proud of the soil. You know what? I'm going to go strongly disagree, because a country isn't just the country. The country is the structure, that it's the government, it's the people, it's the culture. There's a lot that goes into what makes a country. It's not the border. It's not the land.
It's multifaceted.
Exactly. So I'm going to say strongly disagree.
Okay.
And no, that's not like a what did they call that? The identitarian. I'm not talking about the color of the people. I'm not talking about the dirt. Okay.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I hope that I clarified that for people.
Next one. Our race has many superior qualities compared with other races.
Depends on what you mean by superior qualities. I sunburn really badly.
I guess that's one way to put it.
I kind of wish there was a tap out on this one, because like I said, I'm not an identitarian. I think all races have different things that have qualities, and I don't have sickle cell anemia, but I don't think that my race is any better or any worse than other races.
Sure.
I don't think that my race is better, and I think where they're going with this is they're trying to get me to say that I think I'm better than other races.
Okay.
I'm going to say disagree, but I'm not going to say strongly disagree.
Okay. The next one, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Strongly
disagree. The enemy of my enemy is my president.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was my tweet the night when Trump won.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that there are a number of people who feel that way, who voted for Trump. But let's see, next one. Military action that defies international law is sometimes justified.
I'm sorry. Military action that defies
international law is sometimes justified.
Meaning we should be allowed. Okay. So like the EU and NATO and.
Well, I take that as, and I feel like that's a reference. And of course, I mean, I don't know if this question was there back in 2001, but that might be a question or in reference to certain things like the war in Iraq that some people, I guess, thought were illegal or was illegal. At least that's the That's the impression I got when I was.
See,
on
I
the
don't
left.
know as much about military stuff. I'm not well versed.
Well, I mean, like the way I take this is it justified sometimes for, and it doesn't have to be the United States. It could be a country that
Okay.
acts in a or in a
Militaristic way.
uses military force in a way that maybe well, that is in violation of
I'm gonna say
international
agree.
law. Okay,
I'm going to say agree.
all right.
Especially protectionary, like
Preemptive stuff, or
I'm going to say agree.
okay,
I can imagine, especially more recently, I can imagine times at which things might not be legal, but I think that they're ethical.
okay. Last question on page 1. There is now a worrying fusion of information and entertainment.
Strongly agree.
Strongly agree.
Yes.
How so?
A worrying fusion of information and entertainment? You mean like the way, if I'm reading this correctly, you mean like the way everything had, like, what's kind of like the, what was the, Andrew Breitbart? No, I don't read Breitbart, but his famous line about how the culture, what culture is,
Politics is
is downstream
culture.
which is brilliant, and it is very true, regardless of how you feel about conservatives, and pundits on that side. But the because they said entertainment, I'm going to assume that they mean like entertainers.
I view that kind of like the Jon Stewarts of the world.
Yes.
Do you think there's too much?
Yes.
Okay.
Where we're kind of expected to get a lot of our, like what you just said, like the Jon Stewarts. We're expected to tune in late night to get like our comedy and all of our excuse me. News is kind of just we pick what side we're on, and we get everything from that side.
Okay.
There really is, there's no such thing as being unbiased, which I understand. Everybody's biased. But the other thing that bothers me is I know that I'm biased, but I try to see the other side, and I know that it pisses people off on my own side if I try to see the other side of it. And then it's like I'm pissing off the people that are on my own side because they're like, oh, wait, you're not towing our line.
Sure.
And I know I'm going to piss people off in the future that are my fans right now, because I guarantee you there's going to be times where I'm going to interview somebody, or I'm going to talk to somebody that's not on my side, and they're going to say, "Oh,
why are you talking to that guy?"
I know that's going to happen.
Yeah,
because I'm already scheduled to talk to somebody that I don't agree with, that I vehemently disagree with, but I'd like to have a conversation with the person because I'd like to see where we do agree, and maybe my intention isn't to get to agree with them more, but maybe, get them to understand me a little bit more.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sounds eminently fair.
Yeah.
All right, page 2, 2 of 6. I got 6 pages to this thing. On to the economy. We're talking attitudes here, not the FTSE index. Question 1, page 2. People are ultimately divided more by class than by nationality.
Strongly agree. I wish people would see that. It really bothers me, the number of people who think that, who genuinely believe that Obama has it worse off than like some poor white kid who's getting school lunches.
Oh, yeah.
That it just blows my fucking mind. The number of people who think that poor white people in the Appalachians are better off than Beyonce.
It reminds me of I've seen the meme before. It's like this homeless white dude sleeping on a park bench, and like the caption says something like
he's privileged.
Yeah, at least I have my white privilege. And, I gotcha. Question 2: controlling inflation is more important.
But I know this is asking divided.
Yeah.
Yes, people are more divided, even though we're allowing. I understand that the question isn't stating what I just said. We are divided more by class than nationality, but what I'm saying is people are focused more on nationality, but that isn't actually what the real divide is. It really is class. And by class, I mean money.
Okay.
Okay.
Controlling inflation is more important than controlling unemployment.
100% strongly agree.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, I just had this conversation with my husband like yesterday morning, I think. don't know what I do know about economics. I know this.
Okay.
Like, I had to take some economics classes in college. I don't know a shitload about economics, but the knowledge that I do have runs very, very deep, and this is it.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Next question. Because corporations cannot be trusted to voluntarily protect the environment, they require regulation.
I am going to agree that we do need some regulation, even though I'm against over-regulating. I think that businesses we do need some regulation. 2008, I voted for Ron Paul. So we do need some regulation. We can't just allow companies like the Walmarts to just throw sludge into the rivers. We can't be poisoning. And that's where like the climate change argument, where I get into that, is we need to protect our planet, but we can't over-regulate to the point where we're actually harming our people. Like the point where businesses where we can't even make any progress. So anyway, I don't want to over-explain every single one of these answers.
Okay, that's fine. Next one. From each according to his ability to each according to his need is a fundamentally good idea.
Wait. Hold on. I'm trying to figure out. From each according to his ability to each according to his need?
Yes.
That's communism. Wait, did I read that wrong? From each according to his ability, meaning if I have the ability, to each according to his need is fundamentally a good idea?
That is the statement.
Isn't that communism?
Yeah, I just want to quote this accurately. I'm pretty sure that is Marx. Yeah. It is, in fact.
Do they have anything stronger than strongly disagree?
No, but let's go ahead and hit strongly or disagree.
I mean, I personally, like in my own perfect little utopia, yeah, that sounds no. That would be awesome on a small scale in a tribe, that you help out those that need it the most and those that have the ability to give, like in a family.
Yeah.
The person that has the ability to work the hardest gives the most of themselves, and those who need it the most, i.e. the babies, get the most. But on a large scale society, it doesn't work. How do we dictate who needs the most, and how do we dictate who has the most to give? Then everybody would just sit in a wheelchair and beg for handouts. I would. I need a Bentley. I need.
For what it's worth, and I'll go ahead and throw this up here.
Not a Bentley. I need
that particular phrase, from each according to his ability to each according to his needs, is actually from that's Marx, from Karl Marx, from the Critique of the Gotha Program.
Strongly disagree.
So,
yeah.
Okay. All right. So that's next one. It is a sad reflection on our society that something as basic as drinking water is now a bottled, branded consumer product. It's
sad. You could say that it's sad, but it's also a really good thing that we've gotten to a point where we can actually bottle, brand, and that we can sell water. Like, that's amazing that we've gotten to a point where we can actually market and sell bottled water. That I can go to an event in the middle of downtown and I can, hey, oh look, here's $1. Oh my God, I just got branded, bottled, sterilized water. It is sad that that we've gotten to a point where towns, small not villages. Sorry, we don't have this here. Where towns can't even access their own local water supply because it's been shut down, and Nestle has been able. If you guys are familiar with like the water problems in some of these local areas, even here in America, like in Colorado, so we have an extra home in Colorado. We have a home in Colorado that you're not allowed to collect so when you buy a house in Colorado, you learn you're not allowed to collect your own rainwater on your property. It's illegal. Did you know this?
I know that's the case in some places.
When you buy a house in Colorado, you learn all this stuff. In Crested Butte, I almost said Austin, in Aspen, anywhere out there in Colorado, you're not allowed to collect your own rainwater.
Sure.
It's illegal.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I know. It's stupid. Because they collect the rainwater out there, or they decide how it gets dispersed. Snow, anything like that, you're not allowed to collect it.
All right.
Anyway, but that's crazy to me. So anyway, to get to how I'm going to answer this, I wouldn't say it's a sad reflection on our society. In a way, I think it's kind of amazing that we've gotten to a point where we can actually bottle and brand water.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it's really effed up that there are places that can't even use their own local spring water. That is infuriating to me.
Yeah.
Because it's their water.
Sure.
And they shouldn't have to go to a local Walmart to purchase their own water because they own the land.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should just agree or disagree with this, because I'm trying to think of where they're going with this. I'm gonna say disagree. I don't think it's sad that we've gotten to this point. So let me go ahead and click disagree, Jacob, on this one. But I do want to explain why. And I do want to explain that, no, I don't think it's sad, but I am infuriated by the fact that large corporations, multi-million, maybe even billion-dollar corporations, have come in and have taken over the local water supply and sell the water back to the people who rightfully own the water.
Okay.
Just because they've paid off the governments.
Yeah. Let's see, next one. Land shouldn't be a commodity to be
Bullshit.
bought and...
Strongly disagree.
All right. That was quick.
Strongly disagree.
That's okay.
I haven't actually, I've never taken a political compass test, so this is fun.
Okay. Well, I guess that's a pretty succinct answer right there. So we'll just go ahead and move on. And
I'm for prostitution. Not myself.
Sure.
But yeah, anything should be allowed to be bought and sold, besides obviously people against their own will and children.
Sure.
But yeah. Clouds. You should be able to buy and sell clouds.
It is regrettable that many personal fortunes are made by people who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society.
Who says they contribute nothing to their society? I buy and sell Bitcoin. I'm really not contributing anything other than a spike in. I mean, I'm converting electricity into
money, or however that works.
Ones and zeros that will never be electricity again.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? I think it's freaking awesome that a bunch of people with absolutely no effing skills can become millionaires within a few months. They have literally no skills. It does kind of piss people off, because at least back during the .com boom, they had skills. They were actually creating something. Versus now, these Bitcoin millionaires, they ain't doing shit. They're turning electricity into nothing, and then they're selling it, and now they're worth millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it's regrettable. I think it's amazing that you can go from having no money to having millions of dollars. I don't know what they're not seeing this correctly, who simply manipulate money and contribute nothing to their society. I also don't know if they're talking about people in the stock market. Manipulate money. And look at, what my husband does for a living.
Yes.
Yeah. So now, you know what? I'm going to say disagree. I'm not going to say strongly, because these people do contribute to our society. If there are a lot of these people who just manipulate money, or they manipulate numbers on a computer, and they contribute to our society. You know what they do? Once you make that money, you go out, you buy food, you buy cars, you buy a house. They are contributing to our society. So I'm going to disagree with this one.
Alrighty.
I think these are salty ass bitches who don't like the fact that somebody with not even a high school diploma can go out there and make a ton of money and raise a family.
Okay.
And start a podcast. So
next one. Protectionism is sometimes necessary in trade. Protectionism is pretty much like tariffs. So, like, you got a company in the United States, and of course, deindustrialization, which has led to in part at least, the misfortunes of people in the Rust Belt and some of these other former factory towns.
I don't know how I feel about this one. This is not even a subject I've really even thought about.
But it's basically like putting an example would be putting up tariffs to make sure that say like a foreign country can't dump cheap goods onto your economy and wipe out your local businesses.
I'm gonna say agree. I'm gonna have to say agree. Okay. For now, I don't. I also live in Houston.
Sure.
I mean, so don't we have stuff like this here with like the oil or something?
I'm not well versed on that stuff.
Yeah, I don't really know a lot about this. So I'm going to say agree. If anybody would like to mention in the comments why I'm like they want to educate me in the subject, I really don't know a lot about this.
Alrighty, so we will just go ahead and move on.
Okay.
The only social responsibility of a company should be to deliver a profit to its shareholders.
Well, that is a business's responsibility. That's if you have shareholders, that is your primary responsibility. I don't think that should be social responsibility. I skipped over that word.
The only social responsibility.
I'm going to say disagree. I don't think that should be your only social responsibility. It is your primary responsibility as a company. And you can actually be unseated as a board member or as a CEO. You can be kicked out of your own company, even if you're the sole founder of the company, if you are not turning a profit for your shareholders.
Okay. Next one. The rich are too highly taxed.
This is going to piss some people off. Agree. Well, and I don't mean the top, the Clintons and the Rothschilds.
Sure.
I'm talking about I'm talking about the 40% upper middle class. I'm talking about like the people who are paying like $200,000 a year in taxes only. Like I'm not talking about like the 1%ers. Okay. I'm talking about, yeah. So sorry, Jacob's getting some water. The rich are too highly taxed. I'm talking about rich people, not people like that are running the world. So I do agree.
Okay. Next one.
Hold on.
Oh, cool.
Beautiful vase here.
Let's see. Next one. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care.
Strongly agree. That is not to say that I think that that poor people shouldn't have access to good health care. Please don't think that's what I'm saying. And I don't think that means that rich people should have way better health care and poor people should suffer. Not at all. But I do think that that you shouldn't be waiting at the back of the line if you have money to pay.
Okay.
That they should be like, oh, well, no, we're going to let this guy on welfare go first because he showed up first and kick you to the back of the line. So.
All right. Next one. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public.
Strongly agree. Punch them in the dick. Seriously. There needs to be more than money. Financial penalties. There needs to be jail time, and these CEOs I'm going beyond just the mislead the public. When people commit fraud and it kills people, when people die and it was intentional fraud, and you find out like cars exploded and they knew cars were going to explode, and they were like, oh look, we killed 100 children because these engines blew up.
Like it cost more to do the recall than to let people, or than a payout.
Those were manslaughters. Not just lawsuits. Somebody needs to go to jail.
Okay.
Like we need to stop doing this whole, we'll like give us 10 more million and you can stay out of prison. No, we need to like put some bitches in jail.
Okay.
Like take away his freedom, because I'm so sick and tired of hearing of these huge corporations being able to just pay off somebody and getting, especially when somebody died and when they knew at the beginning that their decisions were going to lead to maiming or the
injury, death, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
All right. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies.
Wait, Genuine free market requires restrictions. See, my views kind of shift a little bit because part of me wants to say, oh, just let the free market take care of itself. But then I also understand, yes, there are bad people, like monopolies and stuff like that. I mean, I have AT&T right now, and I had Comcast before, and it terrifies me to think that, like, Time Warner is going to buy, like, all these companies are just going to, one giant conglomerate.
Melding into one, and they can just charge whatever they want.
Exactly. Or they are not going to offer the same level of services that you had before. Requires restrictions on the ability
of predator multinationals to create monopolies.
Strongly agree.
Okay.
Right?
All right.
Right?
Strongly agree.
Is that agree with what I just said?
Yeah, it's you agree that a genuine free market requires these restrictions.
The freer the market, the freer the people. Just kind of a blissful, just like the most simple answer. I'm going to say strongly agree. Obviously, there's. I'm going to say strongly agree. There are exceptions.
So you strongly agree with that?
The freer the market, the freer the people. Okay. I'm going to say strongly agree.
Gotcha.
Obviously, that doesn't mean there are not any exceptions, though, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
That doesn't mean if you can run around with machetes beheading people.
Or buying and selling the people children are freer. On the dark web.
Exactly.
Or something like that.
Within reason.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. We're on to page 3 of 6, and it's time to look at some of your personal social values. First question, abortion.
Values, what are those?
First question, abortion when the woman's life is not threatened should always be illegal.
Strongly disagree.
Okay. Anything you want to add to that, or is that pretty?
No, I mean, I'm not pro-abortion. I think it's gross. I think it's very sad. I do not like this whole Lena Dunham, the women who wear the I had an abortion and it was the most amazing thing. This whole
shout your abortion stuff.
Yeah, this third trimester, they cracked the skull as it was on its way out the birth canal, and it was beautiful. And I had a oh, you had a baby shower? I had an abortion party. Like this like women bragging about their abortion shit is disgusting to me. I've met women who have had abortions and had to go through therapy afterwards, and it was like it's a very distraught time for them, and it's very disgusting that women are so prideful about their abortions when there are other women who contemplate suicide because after an abortion, because like the hormone spike up and then the hormone spike down, and then they're for a lot of women, not all women, for a lot of women, it's their body wants to continue on with a pregnancy. So if they make the decision not to do that, they don't want to read a magazine article where a woman is prideful of her abortion when it was a very awkward thing for them to go through. And now they feel guilty that they feel guilty. And so it's not a beautiful experience for every woman. Like it is for, Lena Dunham didn't have one. She said she wishes she could have had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was.
It's a disgusting thing. Anyway, my point is, I don't think it should be illegal. I really don't like the idea of post-birth abortion, which is where liberals seem to be going. And of course, this isn't all liberals. I'm a liberal. I think it's a very fringe. But they're creeping into it, just like they're creeping into the pedophilia thing. And I think I'm really not cool with this whole like abortion pride thing. It should be one of those things that
yeah.
There are reasons that women need abortions. I don't like the way that I don't like the way we're making it like a flag waving. It's not even a topic I really like discussing anymore. Okay. I know that, like, I've talked about publicly, I had an extremely difficult first pregnancy where I should not have been able to get pregnant at all. I may go into details in a further video. It should not have been a baby. And I was told that it wasn't a baby, and there was a lot there, and it was a baby, and I was told to get an abortion by a doctor and then 2 nurses. I was told I didn't have a baby, And then they told me to get an abortion. And my response was, well, if it's not a baby, why would I get an abortion? And now I have a freaking child that runs around and communicates with me and plays on an iPad. And I'm like, but you said it wasn't a baby. So to go from being told I didn't have a baby to now I have this human being, it like now my views have changed a little where I'm like, well, I was told I didn't have a baby. And now I have a human being. So how did it go from it's not a pregnancy to it's a pregnancy to it's a like it made me realize that there's probably a lot of women out there who went through exactly what I went through. I was told I miscarried. It just all this crazy shit that I went through, and I wasn't like anti-abortion. I wasn't any of that. So it really kind of, and it made me kind of not even want to talk about the subject anymore, really.
I understand. I'm old
because
enough.
I've had women tell me,
Sure.
oh, well, that's just your experience. I go, no, I think that my experience, because I've talked to other women who said I went through the same shit you went through.
Sure.
Like I got pressured into the same place I went to tried to pressure other women as well.
I'm old
but you
enough
can't
to-
talk about it
Yeah,
or else you're not a liberal.
I'm old enough to remember when the mantra was abortion, safe, legal, and rare. Now it's on demand without apology
40% of
and
black-
at taxpayer expense.
Exactly.
And it's
40%
gone
of
to
black
this-
babies are aborted in America.
Yeah, this sort of anyway. We can share my views on it some other time.
Yeah.
But let's go on.
Anyway,
to,
so there we got
Yeah.
in this long discussion about abortion.
next question. All authority should be questioned.
Strongly agree. All authority should be questioned.
All right.
More so than non-authority. I think that authority figures need to be held to much higher standards.
Sure.
I think that police officers should be held to higher standards. I think religious, anybody in any position of authority, if they do like a cop shoots someone, I think the charges should be higher. That's just my personal views because they're being given more responsibility than us.
Okay. And more power.
So, ooh. There we go.
All right.
An eye for an eye, a tooth for a
eye
tooth.
for an eye, tooth for a tooth.
This one's weird because it's like literally an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth.
Well, I think
like-
it goes back to that Old Testament principle that.
Like the whole karma. Okay,
Well, no,
but
like if the Old Testament principle of if somebody gouges your eye out, then you should respond in kind, or you should do to them, or
I
the
don't
authority
like.
should do to them, so on
Okay,
and so forth.
but the people who but who's going to be taking the eye? This is the problem I have with this whole like an eye for an eye is that it's like the punching a Nazi. It's like who gets to decide? The
Fair
eye.
point. Yeah, no, you're right. Right.
So
No,
I'm
fair
going to say
point.
disagree, just
Disagree?
because I think it tends to be kind of, does that make sense?
Easily abused, perhaps.
Very much so, and it's. I'm not an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth seems kind of violent to me,
Okay.
and I try to be. I'm more of a rehabilitation when it comes to crimes rather than a. Rather
than a more retributive person.
yeah.
Okay. Taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis.
It's funny as I used to say strongly agree back in the day up until I started watching things fail and realizing they fail because nobody wants them to survive. They want the money thrown out there, but they don't want to actually attend. I used to think that we should prop them up. I'm going to say agree, only because I think that if people actually do want to go to things like this, I think that you can pull the money together. We have Houston Symphony. We have like the Museum of Fine Arts out here. We have a lot of we have Buffalo, or the Bayou, right up the street from me. Bayou. Buffalo Bayou?
Well, I know that it's a
Bayou
yeah.
Gardens, like right.
Oh, the Buffalo Bayou Gardens.
No, not Buffalo. I said Buffalo. I didn't mean Buffalo. The
Okay.
Bayou, the freaking Bayou, right up the street from where I live.
Sure.
The Bayou, whatever they call it. Anyway, we have these beautiful gardens. We have all these amazing cultural things here. They're all paid for by super duper rich people that died years ago would pay for these gardens and museums and all this great stuff here in Houston. Like a lot of it was oil money. Irma Hogg, whatever her name was, paid for like the symphony because she wanted culture in Houston. And then so they set up these funds of some sort, like a trust, and then it pays out and it pays for it. But then rich people, we have Houston Polo Club, but then not even rich people, just people in general will pay to go to it, and it sustains itself. We don't need the taxpayers to keep it open. So I'm all for things like that.
Okay.
Even the Houston Museum of Fine Arts and the Glassell art school. All of that is sustained by people paying money to it. So I am all cool. The KPFT radio station.
Yeah.
Things like that. People pay money.
Okay.
So.
Next question. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory.
Agree. What?
No, that's just...
For little children, yes.
Okay.
But once you hit, I don't know, junior high. So.
Alrighty. All people have their rights, but it is better for all of us that different sorts of people should keep to their own kind.
What do they mean by own kind?
I don't want to be too
like
leading.
Race?
That's kind of what I infer from it.
Well, if you want to. Like, I'm totally cool with segregation if it's self-segregation because that's what you want. Like, if people decide on their own accord that, like, if Hispanic, like Koreatown, if they decide, you know what, we want this to be all Koreans, and they decide to open up their own, all people have their own rights. It is better for all of us, but what if they want it to be... But it is better for all of us.
Also
different sorts of
also
people.
Keep in mind that it doesn't really reference race either, because that could be.
So it means like politically and stuff.
I think that's an open question.
I'll say agree, because this whole forced diversity shit also is crazy. Like making people that don't have anything in common with each other at all. Like they're just mixing people up together and then expecting everybody to get along when they have nothing in common. Different sorts of people should keep to their own kind. This is a weirdly worded.
Okay.
I'll say disagree. I think everybody should just take a fucking Xanax.
Okay. Good parents sometimes have to spank their children.
Oh, the irony. Wow. No, I have not spanked my children today. Today.
I like how she,
I don't spank my kids.
I like how she said today.
I don't spank my kids. Good parents sometimes. I will say agree, even though I'm not a spanker. I was just right before we started the podcast, Jacob and I were talking, and I told him that I know lots of good parents that have to beat their kids. And he'll probably end up having to beat his kids.
And by beat, we don't mean like actual
we
harm.
mean just pop them on the butt. And I actually told him, I should probably spank my kids because they'd probably be a lot better. But I don't. Instead, I give them iPads because I'm a bad mom. It's natural for children to keep some secrets from their parents. Agree. Especially as they get older.
Oh,
you don't understand me.
Oh, especially when
yes, especially like when I went through my my 9-inch nails phase, and I was making. I had a journal, and my parents went through my journal and thought. And then I had to get a therapist because they thought I was suicidal, but I wasn't. Yeah. I was just creative.
All right. Next question. Possessing marijuana for personal use should not be a criminal offense.
Strongly agree.
Which
is funny because when we were out at lunch today, my crazy aunt called me and I answered the phone. She called me to wish me happy birthday. And she said she's leaving the state she lives in so she can move to another state so she can smoke pot all day. Because she had a stroke some years ago and is on all kinds of medication that makes her unable to function. And instead of being on all these medications, they can take her off all these pills that are thousands of dollars a month that the taxpayers are paying for. She's on old people health care.
Sure.
Like old poor people, because she can't work. So she's
Medicare, Medicaid.
Like disability or whatever. So she's an immigrant who came here. So my aunt's an immigrant who came here, and taxpayers are paying thousands of dollars a month to take care of her, right? And so thank you, taxpayers. and she just got another surgery. So she's had all these open heart surgeries, all these brain surgeries, because like I said, she had a stroke. And so, whoa,
that's all right,
dude. So she's moving to another state so she can just smoke pot and not have to take pills all day. So anyway, so my point is, I think that marijuana should not be a criminal offense. No. I also have a house in Colorado.
Alrighty. The prime function of schooling should be to equip the future generation to find jobs.
Disagree. It should be to, well, okay, so primary function, no. I think that should be some of what they do, but
like a significant proportion.
Yeah, I mean, but it should equip you to learn how to do the sorts of things that eventually you will be able to find a job, but, you know, creative thinking, but also like become an independent adult.
Sure.
You know what? Future generation to find jobs? No, because I didn't find a job. It should equip you to find yourself, right?
Okay.
I'm going to say disagree.
Disagree. Okay. Got it. Okay. Disagree. So moving on, people with serious inheritable disabilities should not be allowed to reproduce.
Strongly disagree. To each their own.
Yeah.
The most important thing for children to learn is to accept discipline. You should learn how to address authority figures and function if you're going to function in a society and not get shot.
Can you function in a society in a pro-social way?
Yes. I'm going to say agree.
Okay.
Yeah. The most important, I kind of want to say strongly agree, especially the way my kids have been. Say strongly agree.
Strongly agree?
Well...
Strongly agree?
You know what? Discipline also extends to self-discipline.
Sure.
Okay, strongly agree.
Okay. There are no savage and civilized peoples. There are only different cultures.
Bullshit. Strongly disagree.
All right.
Well, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're cracking open skulls and when you're eating people, is that savage? Or is that multiculturalism?
Yeah.
When you're raping women because they don't cover their hair?
I would not want to live around that. I'll just put it that way.
Neither do I. That's why I live here.
Yeah.
Those who are able to work and refuse opportunities should not expect society support. Agree. If your family wants to help you, if your friends want to help you, that's fine.
All righty.
But society, meaning taxpayers.
Sure.
And the government, which is taxpayers. When you are troubled, it's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things. That's a whistle while you work. When you are troubled, this does sound like a Disney line. It's better not to think about it, but to keep busy with more cheerful things like marijuana. I will say agree, but not like in a. I don't think you should be ignorant. If you're being troubled by things you cannot change at all, I think you need to have a positive attitude because sometimes things just need to pass.
Okay.
Like when I had herniated discs in my back, I was awaiting getting the injections in my spine.
Yeah.
It was like going to be days, and it was just a matter of holding on and waiting for that to get that.
Whatever treatment it was.
Yeah, to get a yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But for the most part, I wouldn't say like if you could actually be proactive, I don't think that you should just sit around and just think about other things.
All right.
But I don't think being negative Nancy and complaining is going to get you anywhere.
Sure. First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated.
Strongly disagree.
Okay. Just to finish the question for those who can't see it.
Yeah.
First-generation immigrants can never be fully integrated within their new country. And you said strongly...
Disagree. You'll always still be who you were before you arrived, but you can be fully integrated. I mean, look at people like Babak, our friend. Yeah. He's more American than most Americans.
And like full-throatedly so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are immigrants that are just very, very much, they're new. I mean, I've met Muslim immigrants into Sweden who are more flag-waving Swedish. They love Sweden more than Swedes. Like, they want to be involved in the Swedish Christmas pageants. They love Sweden more than Swedish people in the same sense that, like, people that you meet, and we're talking like actual Muslims. They're not Muslim anymore. They're ex-Muslims. But in the same sense that, like, other people come from Islamic countries, they move to America and they voted for Trump. And they, like, wear MAGA hats. And they love America. And they want to tailgate. And they want to go to football. They want to go to, like, the football games. And they love America. And they're very patriotic. And
people you and I would both welcome
exactly.
with both arms.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's see. What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us.
I'm going to say disagree.
All right.
Wait, the most successful corporations?
What's good for the most successful corporations is always ultimately good for all of us.
I'm going to say disagree.
Okay.
Because it says always.
Yeah, that's that categorical, I think.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be put off by.
Yeah.
All right. No broadcasting institution, however independent, its content should receive public funding.
I think I'd like BBC. And that makes me want to say strongly wait. I'm going to say agree. I don't want... Well, because they always turn to turds. They do. But then I think of, like, Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, no, Sesame Street's gone full retard also.
Plus, I think it's moved to HBO.
Really?
I'm pretty
Sesame
sure.
Street has?
Yeah,
it's not on PBS anymore?
No, it's not on PBS.
Okay, that's a more appropriate place for it now. It should be on, like, Playboy Channel. Okay, no broadcasting God. I'm going to say agree. Someone can fight me on that if they want. If you don't agree with me, feel free to change my mind. As Steven Crowder would say. Okay, let me go to the next page.
All right, next page.
I'll try to whip through the next few.
This is page 4 of 6. How you see the wider society. First question: our civil liberties are being excessively curbed in the name of counterterrorism.
Strongly agree.
Alrighty.
I'd rather get rid of the terrorists than get rid of our freedoms.
Sure. A significant advantage of a one-party state is that it avoids all the arguments that delay progress in a democratic political system.
I don't think hold on. Wait, are they saying that's a good thing? Advantage?
Yes, of a one-party state. So basically,
no,
you
strongly
can
disagree.
Okay.
I'd rather. In fact, I don't want two-party. I want more.
Okay.
I don't even like bipartisan.
Sure.
I like polypartisan. Pan-partisan, I guess you'd say, right?
Yeah. Although the electronic age makes official surveillance easier, only wrongdoers need be worried. Okay?
Strongly disagree. Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
That's fine. It's fine. The death penalty should be an option for the most serious crimes.
I'm weird on the death penalty, and that's because I don't trust the state. I don't trust even with DNA and such. I've seen the way things can be manipulated. I saw Making of a Murderer. It should be an option for the most serious crimes. Okay, like somebody who's raped and murdered lots of children. I don't like the idea of them being in prison, but they're only going to be in prison for what, 40, 50 years at the most. They're going to be getting raped and beaten with broom handles and mops in prison anyway. God. Can we bring back the gladiators? Let's bring back gladiators. I'm going to go ahead and say agree.
All right.
I do not like the idea of the death penalty, though.
Okay.
But I'm going to say agree for this.
All right, next question. In a civilized society, one must always have people above to be obeyed and people below to be commanded.
Yes, but not in a... do they mean like a hierarchy?
Yes.
Okay, yes.
That's what I take it in.
I'm going to say strongly agree, actually.
Strongly agree?
Yes.
Okay.
Abstract art
that doesn't represent anything shouldn't be considered art at all.
Okay, so like Jackson Pollock, Rothko. I understand why it pisses people off. Like that Rothko can go for $4 million, or that, an upside down toilet is considered a A urinal, I should say, is considered a piece of art.
The kind of stuff where maybe ordinary people would look at it and say, why did this really go for $100 million?
Yeah, I understand. But I'm also a fan of cubism and reductionism. Like I actually like a lot of that, not all of it. The older stuff I like, not the new. And art is interpretive. So this is a weird one for me.
Okay.
Really depends on the person. I'll go ahead and say agree.
Alrighty. In criminal justice punishment...
You know what? I'm going to say disagree.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm going to say disagree because... and there are exceptions to this. Right. I can walk into, like, the Manil. We might even take a visit to the Manil if they'll let us record.
Yeah.
I'll at least try to snap some photos with my GoPro if nobody sees. And I'll show you some quote-unquote art.
Sure.
What I call trash.
Yeah. Okay.
One man's art is another Annika's trash.
All right. In criminal justice, punishment should be more important than rehabilitation.
Bullshit. Strongly disagree.
Okay. It is a waste of time to try to rehabilitate some criminals.
Some. Strongly. Oh, some?
Yes.
See, that's the thing. Sexual violence against children. However, I think there's technology that we're coming out with, like with certain types of chemicals that we can alter the brain. Electrodes on your balls.
All right, so
I'm going to say disagree.
You're going to say disagree?
Yeah, just because I'm just being hopeful.
All righty.
Okay.
The next one: the business person and the manufacturer are more important than the writer and the artist.
In my soul, I want to say no, because I think that art and writing and culture they're very important to our culture, I should say. But I do believe in order for our societies and for us to eat, I think that the business person and the manufacturer are more important from the standpoint of just us progressing.
Sure.
But that's not to say that art and writing and all of that isn't important. I am going to say strongly agree, but I hope that I just explained to you that I'm not saying that art isn't important.
Yeah. Mothers may have careers, but their first duty is to be homemakers.
Not always. But I also think that it's very important for at least the first few years for mothers to be physically present in their children's lives. See, I wish they would have specified when they mean, because once your kids are able to go to school, I don't think...
But based on your interpretation of it and based on your criteria, what would your answer be?
First duty, I will go ahead and agree. Soft agree, not strongly. But see, it says mothers. I think that fathers can too. Because... Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic resources of developing countries.
That is true. Multinational companies are unethically exploiting the plant genetic. Yes, that is true. I know that to be true.
So agree or strongly disagree? Or
agree.
Agree or, okay. Just
they are.
Agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Monsanto.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Making peace with the establishment is an important aspect of maturity.
Strongly agree.
Alrighty. I would have
Okay.
astrology.
What?
I would have a radically, as I'm loading the fifth page, I'd have a radically different answer on that one.
Okay.
But that's okay.
Oh, what do you mean? Oh, you don't agree with...
that last... No, we can do
okay,
these some other time.
If you got through that, okay, you'll find these propositions on religion agrees.
Yeah, astrology accurately explains many things.
Strongly disagree. I'm Sagittarius. You cannot be moral without being religious. Strongly disagree.
Alrighty.
I am not religious. If anybody wants to know, I am Tao. I can go into that another time. It's more of a path. It's philosophy. It's not religion.
Sure.
Charity is better than social security as a means of helping the genuinely disadvantaged. Strongly agree, but we also have to have a society where people don't view each other as ingrates, and where the poor don't hate the rich and the rich don't hate the poor, and we all feel a moral obligation to help one another out. We just can't fucking hate each other.
Yeah.
Stop hating people. Okay. Some people are naturally unlucky. Strongly agree. That doesn't mean that you're always going to fail, though. It is important that my child's school instills religious values. Strongly disagree.
Alrighty.
My nose itches.
That's
okay. 6 out of 6. Finally, a look at sex. Ooh la la.
The fun questions, I guess.
Okay.
Sex outside marriage is usually immoral.
Strongly disagree. But I have a lot of respect for people who want to save it for marriage if that's their thing. I don't look down on people.
Yeah.
For that.
A same-sex couple in a stable, loving relationship should not be excluded from the possibility of child adoption.
Wait. Stable living. Oh, agree. I mean, wait. Should not
be excluded.
Yeah, agree. I strongly agree. I understand there are people out there who will talk about how, oh, they need a mother and a father. Okay, well, that's your opinion, and I'm not going to bash someone who thinks that a child needs both male and female, because there are a lot of scientifically proven benefits to having both genders represented in a family. But I don't want a child who is bouncing around the foster care system when there's 2 mothers or 2 fathers available that can adopt that child. It really comes down to what is more ideal. Is it more ideal that this child be abused, which a lot of foster care situations where a kid has 20 sets of parents or 20 parents is not ideal. I'd much rather that child be adopted by a loving couple that can afford them. And adoption's expensive, so it's not like you're going to get a couple that doesn't. Usually, more likely than not, adoption is going to be much better for that child.
Yeah. Okay.
And the children do have a say in it also. It's not like they're going to get adopted by a couple when they're kicking and screaming and saying, no, I don't want to go to them.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Next one. Pornography depicting consenting adults should be legal for the adult population.
Strongly agree.
Okay. What goes on in a private bedroom between consenting adults is no business of the state.
Strongly agree.
All right. No one can feel naturally homosexual.
Strongly disagree.
All right. These days, openness about sex has gone too far.
Agree. The twerking in your face shit, the especially with the pansexuality, the crap, the getting kids involved, the wanting first and second graders to know about hand jobs and blow jobs, and the wanting to impress your sex life on children shit, that I'm not cool with that. I'm totally cool with sex for adults. I keep the kids out of it. Like, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm a prude because I don't want my toddlers learning about blowjobs. I feel like I'm a fucking weirdo because I don't want my children to know about this stuff.
Yeah.
And I shouldn't feel like that.
Sure. All right. We ready to see where you stand?
Oh. Okay. So on the social scale, I am left. I actually thought I'd be more left. But I think it's that I feel like the Overton window has shifted to a point where
let me see what was on your...
I would be considered far more left.
You got to scroll down. Scroll further down. There you go. That's where you are.
I don't know if anybody can see that.
Well, I'm putting it up on the screen. So for those who cannot see, Annika is slightly, she's slightly to the right of center, and she's a little bit more than slightly libertarian, according to.
Wait, I'm to the right of center?
Yes.
No, I'm not.
That's what it is.
No.
Yep.
What?
According to this compass test, you're like slightly right wing.
I'm no longer a liberal.
Well, you're not a leftist.
I'm not a liberal anymore?
I guess.
Oh my God.
Well, not a leftist. You're not on the left end of the political spectrum.
Oh my God. I'm not a liberal. I'm not a liberal. Oh my God. Holy shit, I just found this out on my birthday.
Yep.
Oh, wow. So I'm a conservative?
Well, I mean, at least according to this, I mean,
okay.
whatever value you want to put into it, or what anybody else wants listening or watching wants to take away from that, that's basically where this particular political compass places Annika here on its spectrums,
wow.
whatever the correct correct word for it is to put it back
hope
up
I
there.
didn't lose that many followers.
Well, then again, you may have gained some.
Show. There's a friend that Jacob and I have that is that I'm gonna have to send this to our friend Daniel.
Oh yeah,
He'll shit his pants. He'll think I'm trolling him though because he knows me to be quite liberal.
Yeah. So. All right. Well.
So apparently I'm on the right, guys.
I think that should just about do it for us today,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I'm
going to screenshot this and send it to Michael Malice. So.
Yeah, so that should do it for us today. Thank you very much.
Oh, I'm a libertarian. Social libertarian.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So you're.
Okay.
Or like a right libertarian.
Okay.
So anyway, thanks again for sharing your time with us today. My name is Jacob Santillan with
Annika O'Brien,
where can they
social libertarian authoritarian.
Where can they find us online?
Make Robots Not War. If you go to Gab, Annika Skywalker, Twitter, Annika Skywalker, Minds, Annika Skywalker, Annika Skywalker, all the things.
Yeah. You can find me as usual at digitalheretic.org. So Digital Heretic, rather. Anyway, thank you very much, and we hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you.